What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats of every one of the weapons in Black Ops Cold War's multiplayer. And in today's episode, we're going to be moving into the LMG category, and we're going to start it off with the Stoner 63. And first up, as always, let's have a look at our damage profile, which is 42-32, and that means this is going to be a 4 to 5 shot kill. Also keep in mind, just like with most of the guns in this game, there are no separate body multipliers, so you deal the same amount of damage to the toe as you do to the upper torso. As for headshots, we do get a standard multiplier of 1.4, and this takes our headshot damage profile to a 58-44. And what this means is at any range, it takes 2 headshots mixed in with body shots in order to reduce the number of shots to kill. So overall, without attachments, headshots are moderately effective with the Stoner. As for our rate of fire, this is the fastest in the LMG category at 722 rounds per minute. And what this means for our time to kill is in the 4-shot kill range, which will be the vast majority of your gunfights, we get an amazing time to kill potential of 249 milliseconds. This is faster than all of the assault rifles and all of the full auto SMGs. This is an incredibly fast time to kill in this game. Also, if we do manage to land 2 shots to the head and 1 to the body up close, this will give us a time to kill potential of 166 milliseconds, which is nearly instant for this game. Now, moving on to our bullet velocity, this is 675 meters per second, which is very fast. It's faster than all of the other LMGs, and that's great. And now let's get into our range values, which as you can see here, our base range is about 50 meters, which is very solid in most of the 6v6 maps. Most of the practical lines of sight in the game are well within 50 meters, and therefore most of the time it's a 4-shot kill. However, if we start putting suppressors on, then it reduces our damage ranges a little bit, and it's the same story with the Division and the cut-down barrels. Both of these reduce your damage range, whereas the Match Grade and the Task Force literally double your range potential. As for hardcore, I'm sure it's no surprise, the Stoner 63 is always a 1-shot kill as long as you're not shooting through something or as long as the enemy doesn't have armor equipped. Now, as for our Hipfire, this is quite interesting. All of the LMGs have the same Hipfire spread. However, this Hipfire spread is incredibly tight for LMGs. Normally, LMGs have a very wide Hipfire spread in relation to assault rifles and SMGs. However, for whatever reason in this game, the LMGs have a better hipfire spread than all of the assault rifles, and it's actually equal to most of the SMGs in this game. So hipfiring with LMGs in Cold War is very, very effective, and if you end up in a close quarter situation, don't be afraid to hipfire with this thing. After that, let's have a look at our idle sway, which is basically non-existent with the Stoner. It's incredibly stable while aiming down sight. Then, taking a look at our recoil, there's not much recoil with this either. It's a very accurate gun, very easy to control recoil. It kicks a little bit upward and to the right, but not by much. And like I said, it's just super easy to control. So this thing is just like a laser beam. But now let's move into our handling, and our aim down sight time is incredibly slow at 625 milliseconds. This is the biggest thing by far that keeps this gun in check, because this aim down sight time is so slow that most guns can literally aim down sight and kill you before you can just get aim down sight. So this is an extremely important stat with this gun that you need to pay attention to when building your class setups, and also just with your playstyle in general. Whenever possible, you want to try and get aim down sight before you end up seeing your enemy. But then let's get into our sprint out time, which is stated as 450 milliseconds in game, but this isn't quite accurate. Our actual experience sprint out time is more like 300 milliseconds, which really isn't that bad for an LMG. It's not super fast by any means, but it's also not slow for an LMG. But moving on, our reload add time with this gun is 4.02 seconds, which is really slow if we're looking at it compared to like assault rifles or SMGs, but it's really not that bad compared to the other LMGs in this game. It is the fastest reloading LMG. Also, here are the reload times for all of the different magazine attachments you can use here. And a big thing I want to point out with the Stoner is there is very often an unnecessary animation after your reload, and this is why I state the reload add times. This is the amount of time it takes for the bullets to appear in your gun without the extra animations at the end. So be sure to pay attention to your ammo counter when you reload with this, because you can cancel your reload animation before it all completes while still being fully reloaded. But after that, let's have a look at our movement speeds, and our base movement speed is actually the same as the assault rifles in this game at 95%, and that's great. However, our sprinting movement speed is noticeably slower than assault rifles. It is an LMG after all, so you expect to move slower. And also our aim down sight movement speed is extremely slow with this gun. You are basically locked in place when aiming down sight with this gun, especially if you're also firing at the same time. That will slow you down even more. So yeah, definitely something to be aware of with this. So overall, the strengths of this gun are its amazing time to kill up close, its really fast bullet velocity, and the fact that it's just extremely accurate. This thing, like I said, is just like a laser beam, and you can pick people off at extremely long ranges, no problem with this gun. As for the weaknesses, there aren't a lot of weaknesses with this gun, but the weaknesses it has are very strong. Like, it's very, very slow aim down sight time. That's the only thing that keeps this in check and keeps it from being the best gun in the entire game. But on top of that, our aim down sight movement speed is also very slow with this gun. Aside from that though, it's pretty much all upsides. But finally, before we get into some of my preferred attachment combinations and recommended class setups, we've actually got 2 barrels with this gun that change the actual damage output of your gun. Not just the range, but the actual damage values. And these barrels are the Task Force and the Division barrels, and with both of them, we get a 10% increase to our damage. And looking at that damage profile, it doesn't change the number of shots it takes to kill to the body. However, now it only takes you 1 headshot mixed in with body shots in order for those headshots to help. So in that sense, these barrels are actually great choices, because now you only need to hit that 1 headshot and you get an incredibly fast time to kill. And on top of this, unlike the Task Force barrels on the SMGs and assault rifles, we don't get that massive increase to our recoil. In fact, the Task Force barrel doesn't change our recoil at all, only the Division barrel does, and with this one we just get a slight increase to our horizontal recoil, but if we have a look at this recoil, it's really not that bad at all. It hardly changes your recoil, and therefore these 2 barrels are excellent choices on the Stoner. I personally prefer the Task Force over the Division barrel, since the Division barrel actually reduces your damage range, whereas the Task Force barrel literally doubles your ranges. But yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that these 2 barrels are excellent choices. And with that, let's move into some excellent attachment combinations and example class setups. And with the first attachment combination I've got for you guys here, this is almost like an assault rifle LMG hybrid. That's how I like to treat this. I tried to speed this up in some areas, especially with aim down sight time. I wanted to make sure I wasn't hurting my aim down sight time at all with my attachments. And with this, we've got the Agency Suppressor, the Task Force barrel, so we just have to hit that 1 headshot mixed in with our body shots, the Bruiser Grip to help with our movement speed quite a bit, the Fast Mag, because this gives us a pretty quick reload time without increasing our aim down sight time at all. And then finally the Airborne Elastic Wrap, which gives us the biggest boost possible to our aim down sight time. And taking a look at the stats of this, we have an incredible range value at 86 meters. Our bullet velocity is also amazingly fast. Reload add time is very reasonable at 2.62 seconds. That's almost assault rifle level. That's just a little bit slower than assault rifles. And then our sprint out and aim down sight times are nicely balanced, and that's pretty much as fast as you're going to get with your aim down sight time on the Stoner. And taking this one into an example class setup here, we've got the Diamatti as our secondary, we've got the Stim Shot, Semtex, as well as the Assault Pack. It's kind of a key to be using Assault Pack and or Scavenger, since we do get a very low starting ammo due to the fact that we're using the Task Force barrel and just the standard Fast Mag. But then for our perks, we've got Perk Greed on here, I've got Flak Jacket and Engineer, Scavenger and Assassin, and then finally Ninja and Ghost. I personally love this class setup. It really suits my playstyle nicely. I treat this one more like an assault rifle than an LMG, and it just works out great for me. As for the second class setup I got for you guys, this one is with the Gunfighter wildcard, so we have 8 attachments here, and with this we've got the Cobra Red Dot, the Muzzle Brake, the Task Force barrel, just like the previous class setup, that 5 milliwatt laser, so we get an even better hipfire spread. This thing is a beast at hipfiring with this setup. The Bruiser Grip for that increased movement speed across the board. The Salvo 125 round Fast Mag. The Airborne Elastic Wrap. And then finally the Wire Stock. With this one, we get an amazing range value at 100 meters. Our bullet velocity is also incredible. Reload add time is quite reasonable, especially since we have a 125 round magazine here. Then our sprint out time is unchanged, so it's 300 milliseconds, and our aim down sight time is pretty slow here, so you do have to actually treat this like an LMG, or end up just hip firing if you're right up close and personal. And yeah, this one's actually quite a bit of fun. You can really lock lanes down with this just fine. You can laser people across the map and absolutely melt them. It's just a great LMG class setup, in my opinion. And having a look at the rest of this, I tried to mix it up a little bit. We've got dual magnums as our secondary. We've got a decoy as our tactical, so we can draw enemies out because they'll be hearing footsteps and they'll be seeing that dot on the minimap. Then we've got the frag grenade, field mic, flak jacket, scavenger, and ninja. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the Stoner 63. As for my thoughts on this gun, I think it is incredible. I think it's a very underrated gun. I don't see it used all that often. And like I said, really the only downsides to this gun are its really slow aim down sight time, as well as its slow aim walking movement speed. If you adjust to those with either your class setup or your playstyle, you've got an incredibly powerful gun in your hands, and you can do a lot of work with the Stoner. Of course, that is just my opinion though. I'd like to know in the comments section below, what are your thoughts on the Stoner 63 in Cold War's multiplayer? Do you really like this gun? Do you dislike it? Or are you just kind of indifferent? Also, if you guys have missed any of the previous episodes of Gun Guides, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.